Sitting here with Richard Lang in Lelystad, of all places, one of the most famous cities of the Netherlands. Next to Amsterdam, you have Lely City. That's where we are. Thanks for talking to me.
You're welcome. Very nice to be here, Patrick.
Thanks. I listened to a couple of your workshops and interviews on the way here. How come there's so much laughter during those workshops?
I don't know. We put it in afterwards. Yeah, you can buy it.
You can buy
canned laughter, yeah.
Laughing people into the workshop.
Yes.
It doesn't sound that way, Richard. It sounds like you have a lot of fun doing that.
Well, I think, you see, the whole thing about the Headless Way is rather funny, isn't it? You can't see your head. Instead, you see the world. And I think there's a phrase in English, you laugh your head off. I think...
We have that in Dutch too.
Yes. Well, I think seeing that you've no head is such a liberation and so light. And so I think an appropriate response is laughter and enjoyment. And,
not too serious.
Well, not too solemn.
Solemn?
Yeah, it's serious. No, not solemn. Solemn is heavy and a bit dull. But it's serious, but light. Yes, you can't see your own head, you see. See, my hands disappear into open space here. Instead, I've got your face now, Patrick, instead of mine. And this is paying attention to what it's like to be oneself. And from outside, at a distance, of course, I've got a face like everyone else has. But at zero distance, right where I am, no face. See? My hands disappear into open space. And this is true for everyone. No one can see their own face. Everyone is looking out of open space, I would say. So it's true for everyone, but each person's response is different. And my response is, wow, that is interesting.
Of course it is. And you say it's a big taboo about talking about this.
Well, I think there is. You see, I think when you're a baby, you're headless, you see, but you've no language. You know, it's pre-verbal, but you're headless. You're at large. You're space for the world. The second stage of the child is through language, learning to see yourself from outside. And you take on the language of, I am Richard, and you are Patrick, and I have a head, and you have a head, and I walk around the world. And by the time you're in the third stage of the adult, that's the language you use. So you only speak of yourself as like the one in the mirror.
Yeah.
And people think that's it, that's growing up. And of course it is, and it's fantastic to become aware of your social self. See?
Social self, that's how you call it.
That's one way of calling it.
Yeah.
Yes, my third personhood, what I am for you. Now the Headless Way says, all right, you've got that going, you see, and you speak that language. Now take a fresh look at your point of view of you, not just what others say you are, and have a look and see what you are for yourself. And when I do that, I discover this open space. Well, it needs a new language.
Which?
It needs a new language.
A new language?
Yes, it needs a language that reflects the truth. You see, so I say, I am Richard, and that's the third person language that we all speak. You see, and I'm face to face with you. But then when I notice what it's like to be me now, which is Patrick's face to no face here, you see, I'm open for the world, then really I need a language to talk about that. That's the taboo, you see, because not in the language. Now I say I'm face to no face with you. See, I'm looking out of a single eye here. When I close my eyes, the world disappears. When I open my eyes, it reappears in this awareness. See? And part of sharing the Headless Way is sharing a new language to articulate our actual experience, which is taboo, which is suppressed, which is not talked about. And what we're doing here is talking about our own direct point of view, looking out at who one really is.
And a new language, but it's not something new. I once heard a sentence that struck me by old Indians. They say, I don't appear in the room appears in me.
Well, that's exactly it, isn't it?
That's and then true. I went, you can look at it that way.
Yeah.
And if the room appears in me, I must be something very large or big or whatever, but not only this little thing.
Well, exactly, Patrick, you see. So, no, it's not new, but not many people talk about it. But you see, now that we are both aware of what is just so obvious, that from one's own point of view, I'm not in the room is in me, now we can have a conversation, you and me, about this fantastic fact, you see, which is available to everyone. And I think this next step forward is moving into a society where it's absolutely normal to talk about it like we are doing.
Yeah, it feels very natural.
Yes.
It's not something highbrow or something very scientific. It feels very close.
It's very close, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's closer than close.
It's very intimate. Yeah, very. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know the good words for it, but.
Well, you see, the words that you're speaking are coming out of the great silence, aren't they? And my words are coming out of the great silence. So I say, in terms of the first language we use, Richard is speaking to Patrick. But in terms of the language of who we really are, there are two voices in one consciousness.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And how come that sparks so much joy? And you've been talking about this from 17 years old. It doesn't seem to bore you. It seems like you're talking about it for the first time.
Well, I think you understand that, actually, because each time you become aware of this miracle that you are, this, to call it space for the world or awareness or even the self is useful. And we know what we're talking about because we've both got the experience. But I think when you become aware of this, it's as if it's for the first time. It's just not in time, it's fresh.
Because it is for the first time.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Now that is joyful to share, isn't it?
Yeah.
You see, I think if you can speak in kind of spiritual language, that God is amazed at being. See, God, and thought, this is so good, I'd love to share it with someone. See? And came up with this situation of self and others, right now, Patrick and Richard, you see, in order to celebrate who one is, this amazing awareness that one is, that we both are. And so I'm not speaking to someone about something that you don't know. We are having a conversation of equals here.
So you're not a teacher?
Well, I think I am a teacher. If you go around teaching, I suppose you're a teacher.
Yeah.
But you're teaching that we're all the same, and as soon as you see this, you've got it 100%, and you can't do it wrong, and that your response to it will be different from anyone else's and is valid. There isn't a right response. Yes. Yes.
So you don't have any disciples, or you're not further than the other people in the room right now?
Well, how could you be? I mean, as soon as you share the fact that you're looking out of open space with anyone, if you pretend in the next second that you've got something they don't have, they'll laugh at you. Not with you, at you. It's a bit different. Yeah. But no, this is, you see, if you are a teacher that goes around making students, that's one thing, right? I'm a teacher who goes around making friends. That's a very different thing. And
that's what your teacher, Douglas, also did.
That's right, you see. And I have hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of friends who share this. And it's the most wonderful thing to share. And you're equal, and it's deep. It's something that is always interesting, see, and it thrills you, really.
And it's you're not like you once called it rebellious. You're not like a rebel going around saying the opposite of what everyone else says. If you know what I mean, like the.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
No.
In a way, you are, but it's not about being the rebel or being the or the anarchistic protester who says, "Oh, capitalism is wrong. Go and find out what you really are." It's not about that.
No. But there are no rules. I don't know what it's about until you hear yourself speaking. You see. But a few days ago in London, I did a workshop with a group of young people, and at the end, one of the young men said, "Wow, this is really disturbing." I said, "Good." You know, this is so astonishing what we're on about. We're not talking about just an adjustment of the details. We're talking about waking up to being the one in which everything is, and out of which everything comes. And as the one, you are safe, you are home, you see.
Untouchable?
In a certain sense, yes. Would you agree?
Yeah, but I can't say 24 hours a day that I feel untouchable, but
no,
I know
you
that
don't
place.
feel anything
No.
24 hours a day,
No.
but you are, you see. And that's part of it, you see. You wake up to what you are, and you realise you don't have to think about it 24/7, because it just is. And so that takes the pressure off. As they say, you stop taking your spiritual temperature all the time to see if you're, up to scratch.
Yeah.
It's there.
So it's not a method, it's not a... Yeah, you have practices, you do workshops, but it's not about refining it or about getting better at it.
How can you get better at being nothing, you see? And I think, you see, you've opened the door. You've opened Pandora's box, but instead of kind of bad things coming out, good things are coming out. And let's hope we all live a healthy, prosperous, long life, so we can keep that. Well, I don't know what the opposite of Pandora's box would be, you know, but that from which blessings flow, you see. No, I mean, it's so funny to be going around pointing out to people that they can't see their own head.
You smile like a little child who just discovered something, a big secret.
Yes. But also, you see, I'm meeting you for the first time, and you're sharing it too, equally. You see, now that's joy. You see, and this is so simple to share. You see, and one goes around and offers it, and some people say yes, and some people say no, and some people say maybe, and it does matter, but it doesn't matter because, you know, there's 6 billion other people, you know, and there's no one else, you know.
Yeah. So you're not on a mission to convince the whole world that this is true?
Yes, I am.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yes.
That's why you visit Amsterdam tomorrow?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I have a mission. I'm more and more here to sing this song and to shout out, hey, you know, most of us are missing something here. And to find it is so simple and obvious. Just look, you see, or with your eyes closed, how big are you? And you know, do your thoughts come out of something or out of this great openness? You see,
yeah.
And so I would say I'm just like us all, just seeing what happens next. You know, but I am dedicated to pointing the finger.
And pointing the finger at?
Well, out there at you see, at your face, but here at no face. You see? And so the Headless Way is a way of experimentation, and we have a whole load of experiments which were developed, most of them late 60s and early 70s, for getting people to turn their attention around from what they're looking at to what they're looking out of. And it is that simple. I was thinking about how up until the science came on the scene in, I don't know, 16th century or 17th century, something like that. To find something out, what you would do would be to defer to authority and ask a priest or somebody or a king or look in a book. And then along came Galileo and said, well, let's just see which stone lands Now that was revolutionary. We perhaps don't realise how revolutionary it was, that people didn't look. They didn't look. They asked someone. They didn't trust what they saw. Now, the Headless Way is in the spirit of science. It says, trust what you see. Go by your own experience. And in particular, we're asking the question, what am I? What am I, you see? Because, well, for a lot of reasons we're asking it. But don't answer that question primarily by asking someone else. Ask yourself. I mean, it's now just as if you were to say, you know, how many legs has that tripod got? Well, it's got 3, you know, or you know, how many cushions on that chair or whatever. You look. You don't say, oh, can someone tell me?
Yeah.
You look. Now, in the same spirit, you say, well, what am I? Let's be curious about what am I? I've happened, I'm here. Let me look for myself at what I am, you see. So the experiments are, I point out at things, there you are, what colour is this, what shape? Now I point back at the place I'm looking out of and have a look for myself, and the viewer can do this. And you point back, I see no face here, no shape, no colour, no movement. My hands disappeared in space. I walk down the street, no I don't, the street moves through me. I look at another person, am I face to face or face to no face? Well, I don't think about it, I look. And then I find out what that means. But I'm looking at you now, a direct experiment, experience. I only see your face, I'm looking out of Owen's face. I have your face instead of mine.
Yeah.
I am Patrick.
Yeah.
Yes, you see. And you're Richard.
Yeah, nice to be you.
Yes, that's right, nice to be you. Yes.
So it's not a belief. It's not something I read in a book. Oh, from now I'm going to start believing that I don't have any head.
That's right. It is obviously not. No, the belief is a problem.
Yeah.
You believe what you are. You're not.
The other way around is a belief. I believe that I am this body.
That's right. Yeah, and I like that belief. I'm all for identifying with Richard. You know, that gets me to join in society and to know who I am in society. But now I've discovered that who Richard really is this one. And when I discover that Richard is an appearance of this incredible openness full of everything, then when I'm with others like you, I know you're in the same blessed condition.
Yeah.
And I don't know much about it, but namaste, you know, the two are one. I honour the one in you, it's the same as the one in me. Well, the Headless Way is namaste, if you like, in that, as I understand it, is because I see that you're in me, and I accept I'm in you.
Yeah.
So, you're in me, I'm in you. That is profound. I am you, you are me.
In Lakesh. That's another...
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know more about these things than I do.
I read a lot from the toilet.
Oh, I'm sorry. It'll pass.
Yeah. But it's not that you only talk about this all the time. You also talk about football, the weather. You look at but when you first get a glimpse of this, for me, I said, this has to be on the 8 o'clock news. I have to tell everyone this. This is such a magical whatever.
I know, yes. Well, I think it should be on the 8 o'clock news and you should shout it from the rooftops, but you soon discover that people don't agree.
No.
And then,
how come they don't agree? How come they don't take this?
I don't know, it's a great mystery. Why do some people say yes to it and some people say no? I don't know. And I, in a way, I love that mystery. And maybe God just isn't ready to wake up to being God over there. And that's okay, you see. Yeah.
People from Advaita say it's Maya. It's this force, this dream force that keeps people in this body and keeps them believing that they are separate from.
Well, good for Maya. Good.
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
Go Maya.
Yeah, go Maya.
But you don't look at it that way. There's some mysterious force going around, keeping people believing that it's all
I haven't a
personal.
clue. Maybe I don't know. But you know, why have you woken up to who you are, and why are you valuing it? Well, I imagine you don't really have an answer. but you're happy. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me very happy. And
Yeah.
I looked for that happiness in everything in the world, in
Yeah.
gaining everything, and
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So
You see, I think that potentially we're moving into a new phase in society. And for thousands of years we've been deepening our kind of coming from the position that I'm me and you're you, which is what we look like, you see. I am what I look like. And now, but obviously down the centuries, certain great people have awoken to who they are and said, oh, I'm not what I look like, I'm the one, you see. Now those have sort of been few and far between and been seen as special. Well, they are special, but few and far between. Well, now for all kinds of reasons, of course, the most important one is the headless way. But
of course. .org.
Yeah, headless.org, yeah. Conditions apply. So, in my experience now, because the time is right, and because it's so easy and simple to share, and you can't get it wrong, and there isn't a right response, there's your response, you see, to discovering this.
Why you make this symbol? Because
Well, this is two-way. This is pointing out and in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you see, it's a non-verbal experience. So it's not primarily about understanding, because you can't really understand it fully. See? And the experiments are mainly non-verbal, in essence. See? So I do that and say, oh, I got that. As soon as we start to talk about it, you'll have a different point of view than me. Great. You see? And one of the things I learned in going around sharing it was that, in a way, I can't share it. You see, I can only be it. Because I don't have your direct experience. As soon as you be it, you see it's everywhere. See? But then that takes the pressure off trying to share it. And also, it opens up understanding that you've got it, just like I've got it, because it's so obvious, and but you're thinking about it differently. I used to think sharing it was when people agreed with me, and you've got to sort of work that out. But anyway, because it's so simple to share, my experience, and this is, in your job doing this, you'll have some experience of this, I suppose. But we've set up a charity in England, and we've got a website, and I am in touch with hundreds of people. People email me every day. We've got 5, 6, 7 Zoom meetings, free ones. If you're interested, you can drop in a week. So I am personally surrounded by people who are enjoying this. So actually, for me, I am in a society of seers, and it is different.
Why is it different?
It's different because you can talk about this.
And you don't get laughed about or fooled or...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, which would be awful.
Well, could be.
Well, it could be, actually, yeah. But, you see, it is a society of seers is where this is accepted as normal. Yeah, where you don't get laughed at, as you say, and where it's understood, and where everyone's got the experience. That's the main thing, you see, and then it's understood that you've got it. And the mechanism whereby we got our heads on, and we, growing up individually and as a society, which is really feedback and pressure from outside, that you are what you look like, see, is really powerful. Who can resist that? Now, when you move into a society where everyone is seeing, no one's telling you are the one, it's ridiculous. You are the one, you can see it. But that kind of atmosphere is very, very supportive.
And the other way around, someone once told me, if you go outside, you go back into the hypnotic world of the persons. Does that have any effect on you? Because on Schiphol, on the airport, everyone, a lot of people think the other way around. I'm this.
I know. It's a very strange thing, you see, because when you see it, it doesn't matter. What you know, because you see...
They appear in you.
They appear in you, and you're doing it for them, you see. And then you start to explore, I suppose, in some kind of way, what happens if you are this consciously in your life? What happens around you?
Contagious?
Yes, it is.
People feel it on a level?
Yes. When you're with a baby, its openness is contagious. When you're with a child, its playfulness is contagious. When you're with an adult who is very, very separate, it's contagious.
Yeah.
Now, when you are with people who are enjoying having the world inside them, it's contagious.
Yeah.
See, so it's very, very optimistic. And it's an experiment, you see, because ever since I met Douglas Harding, who developed the Headless Way back when I was a teenager, I used to go and visit him, and there'd always be people at his house. So the friends I had, after a little while, you know, more and more of them were headless. You know, and I meet more and more headless people. Yes, don't think too much about that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I actually grew up in a society of seers. I grew up in a society of seers, and just so supportive, so interesting, and you don't really know what it is. We're finding out as we go along what it's like to hang out, like with you now.
It feels like meeting old friends. It
Yes.
feels like I've known you all. I've known you because I am you.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's no separateness, no higher, lower, no older, younger, Dutch, English, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly. I know. You see, and this is a discovery, isn't it?
It still gives me goosebumps.
Yes.
So
It should do.
oh, okay.
Yes.
Thanks. Thanks for the reminder.
I know. I don't have goosebumps.
You want my
Oh,
goosebumps?
God.
Yeah. It's so beautiful, and yeah, you know, I'm longing to put this on the web and to give this to other people, to let them reach it,
Yes,
see it.
and if I can say to the viewer, you know, do a few experiments.
Yeah, could you demonstrate some for us?
Yes, well, if you're at all curious, I mean, there's lots of experiments on the website, but just now notice you can't see your own face. Of course you can see it in the mirror, and other people see it, see, but that's what you look like from a distance. And if an observer came up to you, they'd lose you anyway. You'd be a patch of skin and then cells and molecules. Well, all I'm asking you to do is to point back at the place you're looking out of and look for yourself. Can you see anything there? Can you see your face or any shape? I can't. So then you point the other way like this, and that indicates that this space is full of all these colours and shapes. And I'm not asking you to believe anything. And if you see this, it is very likely that lots of questions will come up. You say, well, what about, you know, or what about this?
The but ifs.
Yes, and I think it's very creative. And it'd be very odd if you didn't have a yes but. Because all our lives we've been living as if we're the one in the mirror, and then you see you're not. Now, are you just going to accept that with no questions? It's a very unusual person who would.
You should question it.
Yes, yes. Well, if you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. No, you don't. There's no should. But I think the yes but is a very creative edge, see. But I think that eventually the yes but turns into the but yes.
Yeah. You talk about these stages, huh? You mentioned the baby phase, let's call it.
Yeah.
Then you get into the young adult phase.
The second one is the child.
The child.
Yes.
What happens next?
Well, you see, the baby is pre-verbal and has no developed sense of what it is in the eyes of others. So it's just open.
Doesn't see a difference between itself and an outer world. There is no outer and inner.
That's not your hand. It's just, you know.
Oh, what's that?
What's that?
Yeah.
The child is learning language, getting more mobile, beginning to understand that it is something, but not quite sure yet what it is. So it's very easy to be an aeroplane or a
place.
bird.
It can be a train.
That's right. And if you're with a child, the child will give you permission to get down on the floor and be a train. But hopefully, when the child goes, you don't continue being the train.
Yeah.
That'd be worrying. But the child gives you permission to be flexible because it's not sure what it is yet, so it's experimenting. But as you go on, of course, the message comes 24/7. You are what you look like. So in the third stage, I am a person. I was born and I will die. I am face to face with you. I move through the world, etc. And this is fantastic development. You see, I think it's wonderful. And you learn to, more or less take responsibility for what you say and do, see, when convenient. And most people think that is growing up. Well, it is growing up, but it's only halfway through the story, potentially. Because there's a fourth stage, which is now looking to see what you are from your point of view, without denying what I am from your point of view.
Okay.
So I've got both, you see. So you don't throw out all that you've learned when you wake up to who you are, you add to it. And so now you're in, it's like having a two-sided identity. For you, I'm Richard, for me, I'm God, you see. And you are, for me, you're Patrick, and for you, you're God, you see. When you see your God, you see everyone else's. Now, this is a profoundly different way of relating to so-called others, you see. So I accept you are other, you're not me, and I also see that you are me. Now, this paradox is just, it's just joy, really, yes.
It's not about getting rid of anything. In some Advaita non-duality circles, I used to hear the message, maybe I misinterpreted, but about getting rid of the person, getting rid of your ego, getting rid of thinking that you are this body or whatever. It's not about getting rid of anything.
No, it's placing it.
Placing it.
Yes. Richard, I accept the reality of Richard, but he's not here. He's out there in you and in the mirror and in my thoughts and wherever else I find him, except here. And
is it like an image?
Yes, yes, and a profoundly valuable and interesting image. Yes.
Is it then how do you call it? Holographic? Could we use that?
Well, yeah, you could do. I think all kinds of ways of thinking about it are useful. But the fact that the one has divided into many. Because you see, when you're in the third stage of the adult, you're just aware of the many. And you look at the world through the prism of the many, of being separate, you see. Okay, great. When you wake up to the one, you suddenly now look through the prism of the one. Right? And you realise that you've always been the one. Always been the one. Amazing. But you didn't know it. See. And so now the way that you look at the many is, what an amazing invention within the one. Right? It's not a mistake. It doesn't get in the way. See, it actually articulates your experience. So the arising of the many within the one is just fantastic, yeah.
But also the, let's say, darker side of humanity. So also the man in Syria who starts bombing its own people.
Oh yes, well yes.
He appears in the one also.
I know. Well, I think it's a great mystery in the end. But just personally, I would say that you as the one. There's a way of thinking about it. You as the one realise you're the one, which is brilliant. You see. But if you were just the one, it'd be, oh, I'm the one. Great, nothing's happening. Oh, I'm the one. Oh, great, nothing happening. Oh, I'm the one.
Boring.
It's a story, but in the story, yeah. And I'm a bit lonely, there's no one else, you see. It's a story, so I think I'll create others. But if you really want others, you've got to release control, which means anything can happen. And then that is interesting. And that is unpredictable. You see, the one is entirely predictable, I would say. Just is. Wonderful. So you've got that bedrock of stability and predictability and sureness, but within it is this drama, which is unpredictable and not in your personal control, and includes evil, as you were saying, and is dangerous, and you might die today, and you might lose all your money today. And so this is, real drama on TV. If you I study the subject on Netflix, you see.
Yeah.
You notice how it's one problem after another, and just as you think you understood it, you get a twist. Now that is life, you see, and I think that's where the yes but turns into the but yes, because you basically, I think, start moving into a position where you say yes to everything. You're not saying yes to individual horrors, you're just saying yes to the whole deal. And you recognise, A, it doesn't hurt you as the one, and B, it comes from you. And the more that I think that you recognise it flows from you, the more you realise you kind of deeply saying yes to it, which includes saying no to all the horrible things in it. But what I'm saying is that when you awaken to who you really are, with this incredible drama going on, this is the end, but it's the beginning, and it's endless discovery, and it's unpredictable, like the TV programs, and you suddenly fall through the floor, the trapdoor. But that it is opening up new things all the time.
It's not risky.
It is and it isn't, you see. It's not risky at the level of who I really am, but at every other level, that I might slip on a banana skin.
Yeah, and get in the hospital. Is this the one dreaming it's two?
Yes, good way of putting it, you see. I like to say, no, that's a good way of putting it. There isn't one answer to that. But I like that.
Are there, apart from Douglas Harding, any other people you admire at a young age that you read, you visited, or was it Douglas and then that's it?
Lots of others. I think that when you see who you are, this is a common experience. Many people I know. Before you see who you are, you read the scriptures and you don't really know what they're saying. As soon as you're nodding, you see, now you know what I'm going to say, I think. And then as soon as you see, you go back to the scriptures and you understand, I get that, it's right there, but actually I'm not sure about that bit. But so it opens you to understanding, all the great teachers.
You start recognizing the truth of what they're saying,
that's right.
The essence.
But then I think you find that in each situation, the situation is a teacher, or Patrick is a teacher, or my friends Karen and Anna here are teachers, and each situation, you don't know anything as nothing, do you? You know nothing. And each situation is revealing something new. Yes. Years ago, one of the things that, when I met Douglas Harding, I was a shy teenager, and I, talking to him, discovered he used to be incredibly shy as a young man, morbidly so. Hated his face, would you believe? See? But when I met him, when he was 60 or something, there wasn't a trace of awkward self-consciousness. See? And I thought, wow, I want some of that. This plagues me, this kind of shyness.
Yeah.
And Douglas used to sort of say, well, when you see you're invisible, that starts to kind of relieve you of this anxiety. So as the years went by, my anxiety got less, but didn't quite go. And sometimes it would come back strong. Self-consciousness, fear, anxiety. And I just, all right, well, it didn't last that long, so I could cope, you see. And I always thought, well, there'll be a day when, I'm like Douglas, you see, I don't feel that anxiety, you see. And it was gradually going in that direction. Then about 15 years ago, I suddenly had panic attacks. Now this is, years after first seeing. And in my heart, I knew nothing was going wrong, because I wasn't doing this wrong. But wow, that's odd, more than odd, because you can't control it. You can't suddenly decide not to have them. And it lasted for quite a while. And in the end, it was just a fantastic blessing. And what came out of it, you see, was that I tried to deal with this fear of others by saying there are no others.
Yeah.
There are no others. Well, it doesn't work. The idea doesn't, it's such a deep emotional problem that the intellectual answer, there are no others, didn't for me anyway, what I can say.
It worked for a while, maybe?
Yeah, you tinker around, but, it really, when I had this sort of eruption, then it really didn't work. And so I had to face it, to really go into it, and I recognised there was something good in it. So to cut a long story short, what came out of it was that I realised I couldn't get rid of the feeling of self and others. And then I thought, well, why am I trying to get rid of it? It doesn't stop me seeing. So it led to accepting it. Even though it was philosophically perhaps not logical, there are no others, yet I had this deep feeling of others and self, see, and threat. See. And when I realised I couldn't get rid of it and began to say yes to it and embrace it, then this beautiful deep sense of others, self and others within the one, this joy that there are others.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, because halfway through that process I thought, you're trying to teach me something here, but I'm sure there's an easier way.
Yeah.
But I had to go through that fire. And I think that's the same for us all in the learning process, you see. Something that is really difficult is potentially really deep and a learning thing. So,
it's not about, how do you call it? Also not rejecting the panic attacks, not rejecting anything. So if you got ill or if you got tired of talking about this, it wasn't about that.
Yes. Well, you see, that's where each of us is finding out for ourselves. You see, I think you're talking from your own experience. Well, there you go. You see. So that's really interesting for me to hear your point of view there. And I more and more like to just kind of not take too fixed a point of view and be open and enjoy others and yet find my own voice too as it comes out,
Tomorrow you're in Amsterdam. Is it going to be a workshop or just a talk, or what's it going to be? You don't know.
Well, as much as I've thought about it, I mean, I get about 45 minutes, right? So as much as I've thought about it, I want to, what I'd like to share and communicate is that we've all got it. I'll get people to do a few experiments so they have got it, and then I may not say this at all, but I am in the business of enjoying being in a society of seers, you see. So to give people the idea from the experience that they've got it, 100%, it's always available, that they are space for others and others are space for them, and this is should be disturbing, and it's radical and it's true.
But also loving. It's also a loving message.
Oh, very loving. Yes.
Yeah. So it looks very radical, but it is very loving.
It is.
Or it is both.
It is. No. I mean, have two voices in one consciousness. To have no dividing lines. To be others.
What could be possibly wrong with that?
I know.
Yeah. So, do you ever get hate mail? Do you ever get people who say, "Whoa, what are you saying? That is."
Oh well, occasionally. Not really. No. No, I'm not very confrontational. If someone doesn't like it, I let them go their way.
Yeah.
But occasionally, I notice underneath the videos on YouTube, you'll get someone, saying what rot this is.
Yeah, or he's on an acid trip, or he's.
Yeah, but no. I just. I'm not. I'm just not interested in a fight, really. I'm interested in. If someone's not interested, that's God not being interested, and let them not be interested.
Yeah. So, do you find that in England are there in the Netherlands more people open to it than in England or in other countries you come? Is it dependent on countries where there's more openness to this, or is it all the same?
Basically, it's all the same. But I have a lot of American friends, and that may be because they're much more. I don't know if they are more, but they are technologically, on the ball. I mean, they enjoy coming on the video chats, and they are. I don't know. There's a openness and receptivity there. But in principle, I'd say, why should it be any different anywhere? You see. And I don't think it is, actually. I mean, having said that, I think wherever I go, I make friends. And when you're open, you're open.
Yeah. Let me ask the question in a different way. Could there be countries where there's a more need to this? Let's say that's a country where there's been a civil war for about 20 years. People are tired of this war. They want to hear something loving. They want to return to their essence.
Who knows, you see. I think I learned fairly early on that you can't tell what someone's reaction is going to be. Yes, no, or maybe. I used to try and predict, now I don't. The person you think really needs it and will go for it might not, and the person who you think won't give that one look goes for it. And there's a part of the drama and the fun of it, really the fun of it. I mean, really you don't know. And you wait and you step, moment by moment, if you're sharing it, and if you notice that they're resisting you. When I was doing this workshop on Monday...
in London?
Yes, in London. A friend came along, and we were going up the steps to this place, the Psychedelic Society in London.
Oh, sounds great.
And we were going up the steps with the organiser, and there were two young women coming down. And they knew there was a workshop on, but they were leaving. They weren't going to do the workshop. And one of the young women said, "So, what are you doing?" And I just said, "Well, you notice you can't see your head. Instead, you see the world, you see. And when you look at me, you don't see your face. It's face to no face." And they both saw it. One of them liked it, and one of them didn't.
Yeah. And did they leave?
They went on their ways.
Okay, they left.
But the person, you see the different reaction, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's interesting, so I think you could see how there's a great need for it. But one does one's little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mostly end these interviews with two questions, and I'm going to try to see what your reaction is to it.
The end is nigh.
Yeah. Ooh. In non-duality circles, people, I read it in books. People say to me, "There's no such thing as free will," and that's a mighty subject to chew on for an hour. Did I choose out of free will to come here? Or did it just happen, or both? Okay. What is your verdict?
Well, I'll give you a quick answer, maybe. Both. That obviously one understands, when you see who you are, the space doesn't do anything, things arise in it. So from that point of view, you say there's no free will. But then when you own the space, and you accept that all flows from the space, then from that unconditioned openness, I think that I move to the position where I say, it doesn't just arise in the space, it comes from me. I am responsible for it. I choose it. So I look at the birds flying across the sky and I'm willing that. I'm not willing it and I'm willing it. Now this is, you see, I think if you find yourself pinning yourself to one end of a paradox, be careful. I don't think you can pin the truth down. And I think that when you embrace not only that all just arises, but it arises from you and in you and is you.
As you.
As you.
Yeah.
There you are. You see, you're asking a question you knew the answer to.
I don't know.
It's your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have to pretend to know anything as an interview. I think, but yeah, yeah, but it's still if you say that, yeah, it touches me. It appears as me. Okay, yeah.
Touch. You see, now that's infectious. When you say it touches me that it touches you. I mean, really, gosh, yes.
Then you also start treating the world as you. So. It reminds me of my mother, with a little spider. She puts it on a paper and she puts it outside.
Yeah, there you are.
Yeah.
Yes.
You could go on with your foot and kill it, but no. So
well,
that's what she teaches me.
Yes, very, very.
So it's not about taking a stand on, okay, I don't have any free will. It just appears in me. The world appears in me. I don't travel to New York. New York appears in me. I'm going to just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. You could take that stand.
Yes, but the other, the other thing, end of the paradox, is to jump right in and be in the ride and operating the controls, and it's both, you see, and it's a bit like, I don't know, you're watching a drama and it's wonderful and exciting, and someone on the screen just looks across and says, oh, hey you, come on. And you go, what, me? Yeah, and you're in it, and now it's real. And it's both.
Yeah. The other thing that always pops around in these interviews is the world as an illusion. You must have heard it and read it, maybe said it sometimes.
Yes.
Is this world illusory of nature?
Yes. When people say the world is illusion, I say, well, give me your illusory wallet then. They don't.
I'm going to spend your illusory money.
Yeah. I think it's both, you see. It's, it's certainly, I was reading, as one does, Ramana Maharshi on the plane, and someone was asking him the same question. He said, well, the world is illusory if you think, it's an illusion to think that things exist apart from the self. See, they only exist in the self. Now, and it also said, now if you say that the self is real and the world is illusory, he said, in effect, he said, where's the dividing line? And I think that when you see who you are, yes, the world is a dream, but your reality lends profound reality to it. And you don't want to, you see, the one wants real drama and doesn't want to be always thinking, oh God, this is a dream. You forget it's a dream. I mean, it isn't a dream. Dreams are dreams because you compare them to waking life. There's nothing to compare this with, is there? There's only one. See? So I say, I love it being real, as well as being, God, did I pass the test there?
Yes, full granted. One advice a teacher once said me, we now seem to be awake now at this time, and this night in deep dreamless sleep we are gone. He says it's the other way around. Now you're dreaming. Tonight, when you're in deep, dreamless sleep, you are awake.
What was he on?
I don't know, maybe truffles or mushrooms. No, but
the biscuits from Karen's Bakery.
Yeah, it could be. But still, those words could be useful to point you somewhere, not?
Oh, yeah. What, horse for courses, what works for you, you see. So, I certainly wouldn't say that it's where it's for everyone. We see who it helps, you see. And
what can we find anyway? You have a couple of books you've written? Yeah.
Well, actually, several books celebrating who we are, which is seeing who you really are as in Dutch, celebrating who we are as in English, and we've got. I had this fantastic experience a few years ago. I was starting to do research on writing a biography of Douglas Harding, who developed this way. Biography, yeah, wrote On Having No Head back in the 60s. And just as I was getting into this person got in touch, Victor, and said, look, I'm an artist, how about doing a graphic biography, like a cartoon book? There's the one you see saying, you think you're going to do this? How about this? So I said yes to it. I'd never done anything like that before. And it took 4 years, and for the first 3 years I didn't even talk to him on the phone, never mind him. We did it all by email. And then we met, you see. Now, so that's out as a graphic back there. It's just a great experience, just a new medium. It was fascinating. So there's that. And we've got this model, Universe Explorer model that Douglas Harding designed in the 70s, and we've reproduced it. We're just going to reproduce it again by the end of the year, which is a three-dimensional model of the layers, what you are at different distances surrounding the central mystery. There's lots of books by Douglas on the website.
There's your podcast. Your podcast on iTunes. Huh?
Yeah, my podcast, YouTube.
Yeah,
lots of things. Yeah.
You touch on a subject that I find interesting. You also said in earlier workshops that there's not one version of you, because if I take 1 meter, a couple of steps to the back, I'm going to see a different version.
Yeah.
A smaller version, another side. Maybe I see your back.
It's Alice in Wonderland world. It really is. We've got a fixed view of what we are, and when you start to look, and Douglas Harding did so much research on this, fitting it in with science, you realise that it is not what you thought it was at all, and it's so much more wonderful, so much deeper, so much more mysterious, so much more fun, so much more creative, so much more loving. Yes.
It reminds me of an old saying I once heard, that there was a tribe in the jungle somewhere, and I started talking to those people, and they said, we've seen people as big as flies.
Oh, yes.
They didn't know of distance, of depth. We've seen people as big as flies. That was their perspective.
I know, yes. Well, I mean, you see, as soon as you start to take science seriously, in terms of what you are depends on the range of the observer. You have a whole new world emerging. I am for you Richard, because you see me from that distance, you see. But
under a microscope I would see...
Yes, but if you... Exactly, and I am cells, and I am molecules. But if you go the other way, further out, I'm Holland, and then from the moon, I am the Earth. Now, this is taking this seriously, you see. And we identify your body, your family, your city, your country. Yeah. Now, the nice way of putting it is, at several feet I've got a human face. At many thousands of miles I've got a planetary face. A planetary face, national face, individual human face, they're all me.
Yeah, universal face.
Fantastic, fantastic.
I talked to your friend from Belgium, Luc Vermeeren.
Ah, Luc.
And he gave me an example.
Good person.
Yeah, good person. There's also an interview with him in Dutch on this channel. And he gave me the perfect example. I said, when you entered the room, you said, I am parked at the other side.
Oh.
Yeah. And he said, your car is parked at the other side. You are not parked at the other side. That's how you see that you identify with your car, and that I become the car.
Yeah.
When I'm in the car, I become the car.
Yes.
So
that's right.
Yeah, that was a great. It still sticks with me when I'm driving. Oh, now I'm the car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now this conversation, which is between two and yet just one, two voices in one. I mean, isn't it just brilliant to relate to others like this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just joyful, really. And it's true and honest and authentic. You're not making up the fact that one is space for the other and that the other space for you. It's just, no, this is discovering a new toy, discovering something very exciting and interesting and unknown. And it's discovery and not sort of, now I know who I am. It's like, now I really don't. I'm finding out what emerges from this mystery that we are. Incredible.
Very exciting. Thanks for this nice talk, inspiring talk. We're going to look forward to everything that's coming up. Richard Lang, if you type his name on YouTube, whatever, you're going to find lots and lots more. Thanks again, Richard. And
marvelous to be you.
Yeah, you too. Let's have some coffee. Yeah.
Okay.